Her wrinkled fingers traced the faded lines of a photograph. Two boys, grinning mischievously, held aloft a plate of cookies. Her boys. They were so small then, always hungry, always needing her. She remembered their laughter, the feel of their small hands clutching hers. A wave of longing washed over her, a deep ache in her heart. Where were those days? She remembered the warmth of their small bodies snuggled beside her at night. She was their protector, their confidant, their world. She had poured every ounce of her being into raising them, nurturing their dreams, soothing their fears. They were her everything. Now, silence. The photograph was her only companion now. The edges were worn, the colors muted with time. But their faces, her boys' faces, were still clear. She could almost hear their laughter, feel the warmth of their hugs. She clutched the photograph to her chest, a single tear tracing a path down her wrinkled cheek. The room was small, sparsely furnished. It held the faint scent of disinfectant and a profound sense of loneliness. Her only companions were the faded photographs on the nightstand and the ghosts of memories that danced in the silence. Every day, she sat by the window, her gaze lost on the distant horizon, waiting, hoping. The chair beside her remained empty, a constant reminder of her son's absence. The silence was deafening, broken only by the ticking of the clock on the wall, each tick a hammer blow to her fragile heart. She yearned for their voices, their laughter, even their fleeting visits. But the phone remained silent, a cruel instrument that amplified her loneliness. She was a forgotten melody, a faded photograph, a whisper in the wind. Each day bled into the next, a monotonous cycle of meals, medication, and empty hours. She ate her meals mechanically, the food tasteless, the silence in the dining hall oppressive. The other residents, their faces etched with similar tales of longing and loss, offered little solace. They were ships passing in the night, their loneliness mirroring her own. She longed for a connection, a friendly face, a kind word. But even in this house of shared solitude, she remained invisible. Sometimes a flicker of hope would ignite in her heart. Maybe today would be the day. Maybe today her sons would remember. Maybe today the empty chair beside her would be filled. She would clutch the worn photograph in her trembling hands, her heart pounding with anticipation. She would imagine their faces, their voices, the feel of their arms around her. But as the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the room, her hope would dwindle, replaced by the familiar ache of disappointment. She remembered the promises they made, whispered vows of regular visits, phone calls, and unwavering love. Promises etched in sand, washed away by the relentless tide of time. Had they forgotten her? Did they ever think of her, their frail mother, wasting away in this lonely place? She tried to understand. Their lives were busy, filled with the demands of work and family. She knew she should not begrudge them their happiness. But the loneliness was a heavy cloak, suffocating her, stealing her breath. She had one last wish, a fervent prayer whispered into the silence of her lonely room. To see her sons one last time, to feel their touch, to hear their voices, to tell them that she loved them, that she understood, that she forgave them. She wished for them to remember her as she had been, full of life, love, and laughter. She wanted to etch her image in their hearts, not as a burden but as a source of strength, a reminder of the unwavering love that transcended time and distance. Despite the pain, the loneliness, the crushing weight of their neglect, she loved them still. Her love was unconditional, unyielding, a force of nature that even time could not diminish. She understood. Life was a whirlwind, and sometimes even the most important things were swept away in its wake. She forgave them. They were her sons, her flesh and blood, and her love for them was boundless. She prayed for their happiness, their success, their well-being. Their happiness was her happiness, even if it was experienced from afar. As the days grew shorter and her body weaker, she felt herself fading away. The world was becoming a distant hum, her memories fading like watercolors left out in the rain. But one image remained clear, etched into the fabric of her soul. The faces of her sons, their smiles as bright as the day they were born. She closed her eyes, the worn photograph clutched to her chest. In her heart, she whispered a final goodbye, a message carried on the wings of the wind. I love you, my sons. Be happy. And with that, she let go.